Hey there. So I really like my next guest. He's an interesting fellow, and he definitely opens up more toward the end of this interview. So it seems a little slower at the start. Don't worry. He's a wonderful guy, but he's kind of on this dual track. He's in the healthcare industry and the music industry at the same time, and he's trying to find a way to balance the two and be a gamer and live his life. It's really interesting the way he does this. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Gamerpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. In today's episode, I have a very special guest with us. I have Lucas Horvath. Hey there, Lucas. How's it going?
I'm doing great. How are you?
That's a beautiful sunny day in Las Vegas. I can't complain. How about yourself?
I'm not in Las Vegas. I'm in Minnesota, but we're doing all right.
All right, I love it. So, Lucas, why don't we just get started? You go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into it.
Well, I am 25 years old. I am a certified nursing aide at Charterhouse at Mayo Clinic in Rochester. I'm also a music instructor at Pure Rock Studios, which is also in Rochester. I teach piano and trumpet, and a huge gamer nerd.
Very cool. All right, so I'm going to begin the interview with a single question. That's the same question I ask all of my guests, so don't feel special. But on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, how weird are you, Lucas?
My girlfriend would say an 11. I would say about an 8.5.
All right, why is that?
I don't know. It's just a thing we have. Like, you're so weird, or that was weird. I guess I'm supposed to take it as a compliment.
Sure, that's real love right there.
Yep.
I like to say that you found your true love in life when you found someone you can put up with their BS.
Yep, exactly.
All right, so this is the gamerpreneur. So I need your gaming cred, Lucas. When did you first start playing video games?
I think I was around 5 or 6 years old. It had to be 6 years old. It was 2001. And I don't remember where we bought it, but it was a PlayStation 1 Slim. I believe it was at the Sam's Club in Rochester. And it was on sale. This is around the time the PlayStation 2 was really taking off. But I guess my parents couldn't afford it, or either that or it was on sale. So I started with the PlayStation 1. And first games I ever played were Arthur Ready to Race. It was a Bug's Life, which is a licensed game, and some Blue's Clues game. But, I was too young to play any of the better games like Final Fantasy or Grand Theft Auto.
Hey, that Bugs Life game was tough. I had that too.
I just found the N64 version of it, so I haven't played it yet. I heard the PS1 version's better, though.
I can't say I played that N64 version. I didn't know there was one. But all right. So you told me that you're a gamer snob. So kind of walk me through your history of gaming. Obviously you started the PS1, but how'd you get to where you are today?
So, I grew up on Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, obviously. I remember going to my friend's house. They had a Nintendo 64, but I never got to play on it because apparently it was their older brother's. And then one of my other buddies had a Sega Dreamcast, but we rarely got to play that either. So around the time I was in middle school and high school, I was getting pretty nostalgic. Like, why didn't I ever play these games? Because I had them on the Virtual Console for the Wii, but I wanted to start collecting the hardware, so I bought an N64 and a Dreamcast and started collecting games from there.
Wow, you were able to find a Dreamcast somewhere?
Yeah, there was it was in Minneapolis. There was it's no longer in business. There's a place called Discland, which is kind of like a hipster thrift store where they sell old VHSs, DVDs, video games, snazzy t-shirts, and a bunch of other kind of that stuff.
You make me feel old here, Lucas. I grew up with all that stuff. All right. What do you play today, if anything?
Right now, I'm kind of playing a bunch of games at once. I'm not big on handhelds, but I really only have the Game Boy for the Pokemon games. So right now I'm running Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green at the same time, just to kind of see the differences between the games. They're pretty subtle since it's basically the same game except for the exclusives you get in them.
Yeah, that's pretty much
And
how
then,
it goes. You know, red and blue were the same way back in the day.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I just got a PS4, and so my girlfriend's been playing Destiny and Doom, and then I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn and The Last of Us.
Okay. Very cool. So, if I asked you, what is your favorite game of all time? What's your answer?
That's impossible. I'd probably have to go with Pokemon Emerald just because that's like a hallmark staple on my childhood right there.
I love it. I love it. You know, I easily put several hundred hours into red and blue back in the day. And with the trading cable, you know, how to find someone to
Amazing.
bum their Game Boy to be able to do it.
Yeah, those games have not aged well. I go back and just find another glitch every time I play through.
That's right. All right, so let's get to the entrepreneur part of gamerpreneur. Can you kind of give me your professional background? I know you're still fairly young, but obviously you have to have done a couple things in your life to get to where you're at now.
Yeah, so I graduated from Mayo High School in Rochester, and then afterwards I went to Minneapolis to enroll in a audio engineering school called the Institute of Production and Recording. I graduated with a degree in audio production engineering, and I also minored in sound design for visual media, i.e., like adding sound effects or dialogue to movies or video games or TV shows.
Sure. So why the dual track? You got the music and the healthcare. Like why the two?
I guess it's just a love affair I have with music and medicine, I guess. I
Okay.
actually did not see myself getting in the medical field though. I was working at a local news station in Rochester, and then I got fired from there after about a year and a half. I won't go into details, but I was jobless for a couple months, and then one of my old friends decided to help me get a job at Rem River Bluffs, which is taking care of adults with disabilities like Down syndrome and a lot of physical disabilities as well. So I worked there for about 2 years, and after doing live-in weekends for hours on end, I decided to take the next step and get a CNA certificate, and I found myself at Mayo Clinic.
Okay, wonderful. Now, what's the process to do that? Because part of my goal in the show is to kind of, if they hear a guest and they're like, oh, that sounds like an awesome career path, I'd love to do that. Like, I want the guest to be able to give some advice on, you know, what is that path?
Well, it's a lot of physical work. You gotta know how to handle a lot of specific behaviors. Also, know how to handle, especially senior citizens. They're a lot more frail than us kids in our 20s or in our 30s.
All right.
I there was another nursing home that's right around the corner from my house called Samaritan Bethany, and they had 7-week TNA certificate programs where for 4 days a week, for like 6 hours out of the day, I would take like little classes that also include physical skills that I would have to know in order to get a certificate.
Okay.
So
So I, oh, go
it's
ahead.
basically oh sorry, it's basically kind of like just like a mini school sort of thing.
Right on. Okay, so I was just a year or two older than you when I got into elder law, and that meant going into um, we like what are they called? They're not sanitariums anymore, but mental health facilities and into elder homes and senior living homes, and I was dealing with the elder population, and I don't want to say it makes you jaded to the world, but you definitely learn the way the world works based on these advanced age individuals' perspective, right? Are you getting that as well?
Yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of growth and maturity in my psyche since working with people who literally can't help themselves.
Can
You
you?
go into it, you go in as the minimum age. I think the state minimum age here is 16 to be a CNA, and I think you have to have parents' permission. Um, I've seen like not even 16-year-olds, like just recent high school grads, go from being super narcissistic and all about themselves, and they take care of 70, 80-year-olds. They got to learn, to have some sympathy or some modesty, or just there's more important things in the world than you right now.
What do you think it is about helping older people that does that?
I think for me it's just like kind of seeing my grandparents in their faces. I mean, both my grandparents on my dad's side died from Alzheimer's, and I had a my other grandma who actually died when I was 5 months old from breast cancer. So just like kind of seeing, just like, I guess it's like comparing the people I'm taking care of to people that I actually knew in my lifetime.
Okay. All right. Now, on the music side, what is it you do there?
It's probably not appropriate to show it over here since it's a more professional environment, but I do a lot of punk rock. So a lot of Green Day covers, Blink-182. I also released an album last year called Buttercup, which is on Spotify.
Very cool. Hey, I was on the board of a hip hop label, so I understand how it goes.
Yeah.
My rap name is Purple White because I have a purple
No.
suit and
Yeah. I guess I've tried several times to get into the hip hop scene, but I guess I'm just too white for it.
I understand how that goes. So,
Actually, before I started getting to really heavy punk rock stuff, I was actually training classical piano since I was a kid. So I got a Mozart and a Bach background, and I try to apply that with some of the stuff that I write.
how does that work? How do you apply that?
I guess it's just I think you know the stereotypical pop song that has like the same chords in it over and over again. If you listen to a pop song within the last 40 years, chances are, and I'm going to go full music theory here, it's got that 1-5-6-4 progression. Like an
Yeah, I get
example
you.
is "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey, where it goes da 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 da. It's got that same chord. It's literally the same song over and over again.
For sure.
Try to experiment with different chord progressions, like see what let's see what else we can do. See if we can find something that not a lot of people have done or something that no one's done before.
All right, wonderful.
I'm not sure if I'm making much sense.
No, I love it. It's great. So you're on this dual track. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'll give you like that typical interview question.
I'm not really sure where I see myself. I've had serious thoughts about going to nursing school, but they had just changed the curriculum from a 2-year program to a 4-year program. I'm not sure how I would feel going back to college just to graduate when I'm 29. If
Oh,
anything, I could see myself maybe doing music therapy since I can bring a guitar in and entertain people in the hospital. But right now it's just tug and pull with music industry or medical field, music industry, medical field. I still can't decide.
okay. Well, what makes you special? What makes you unique? Do you have any unique skills that have allowed you to balance your life this way to be able to do both of these so well?
Hmm. Not sure if I have any. Well, I'm not sure if I have any main skills other than gaming and playing music. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean by special skills?
Like, are you fairly compassionate? Are you observant, problem solving? Like, you're able to do the music, which requires kind of a creativity, but you're also able to work with individuals when they're in a not such a great place in their life. You're able to comfort them.
Yeah, I suppose I'm not the best. I'm not the best at talking to people, so I just kind of let actions or music do the talking for me.
Okay.
Like there's some like my girlfriend, or if not even my girlfriend, if I see somebody having a hard time, I might offer them like, if you need a ride somewhere, I can definitely lend you a hand because I was also a Lyft driver, an Uber driver. I'll do favors for people if that counts.
Okay. So I'd like you to take a moment and consider, you said you're 25. If you could go back in time to right after you graduated high school, and you could talk to little Lucas back then and go, hey, little Lucas, this is what's going to happen for the next few years. But here's the one thing you need to know in order to make your entire life better. What would you say?
Okay. I guess it would be kind of back to the narcissistic teenager. Like, you got to be a little bit more selfless and more about others. There was a quote from the movie Joe Dirt And yes, I'm going to be quoting Joe Dirt here. Do good things for people and good things will come to you. I guess that's the one takeaway I had from that movie.
That's the only takeaway you had from that movie? That movie's just so full of wisdom.
I know. The movie was so dumb.
I love that. All right. Do you have any advice for anybody who might be interested in getting into, we'll start with the medical field, and then I'll go over to the music field next.
There's a lot of perks to being in the medical field. For one, at least for Mayo, you get some free health care. I think you have to pay a certain premium, but it's very cheap health care for Mayo employees. There's also the fact that you get paid more. It's just a more well-paying job to be in the medical field.
Okay.
But as far as advice to take, there's going to be a lot of paper classes, so a lot of studying and a lot of sitting down and learning a lot of complicated vocabulary words. If you're going into like direct care, there's going to be a lot of labs, like state skills that you have to learn.
Okay. So you just have to be willing to buckle down and study it out.
Yeah. I think I spent like 3 hours a day when I was studying to be a CNA, and I'm not really the best studier. It usually takes me longer, so I would literally read an entire chapter twice, which would take about 3 hours.
All right.
Which paid off in the long run.
Okay, how about on the music side? What if somebody like dreams of getting into the music field? What advice do you have for them?
Practice. That'd be the first one. You got to play an instrument.
Carnegie Hall. Practice, practice, practice.
Practice, practice, practice. I think when I was in high school, I would spend like 2 hours at the piano a day, and that was being pretty generous since I had a busy schedule.
Okay.
I was also enrolled in, at least for a while, I was also playing baseball, and I was also in choir and had some other extracurricular activities.
Well, you're deep in the music world, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. I've had the opportunity to work with some pretty important people in the cities. Some people who've worked with Prince, some people who've worked with the Replacements and other Minneapolis or Minnesota acts.
Cool, cool. Okay, so I'd like to pull back for a moment if we can and talk more kind of like at a personal level for you. See, I believe we learn most from our failures in life, not necessarily our successes. And, you've kind of gone on this path and you've had some good success. You got a fantastic job. You're doing all of your different hobbies that you enjoy. But what is something that you have failed at in life? And what did you learn from it?
No, I've definitely failed to make a lot of long-term friends, if that counts for anything.
I'm right there with you. I count all my good friends on one hand.
Yeah. Well, that's actually one of my old teachers, Walter Chancellor Jr., who just retired from my old alma mater. One of his, he has these things called Waltisms, where he has like his own words of wisdom. One of the consequences of being in the music industry is you have a lot of connections, but very little friends. So while I've made a lot of connections, I have not done a good job keeping in touch with people that would probably help me get into a better spot than what I am right now. Okay. It's still a good spot, but it could always be better.
Certainly. Okay. Now, what is something you're working to improve on in yourself right now?
I'm definitely been working on trying to communicate with people. If you haven't noticed, I'm not the best at interviews. Like, I'm stuttering and rolling my eyes.
Oh, it's all good. You're doing fantastic.
I would definitely be better. I could definitely improve on public speaking and definitely choosing the right words for the right situations.
Okay.
I have Asperger's syndrome, so I'm definitely not the best at communicating with people. I've had numerous social skills classes which have improved it somewhat, but I'm better off just speaking through actions instead of words.
Okay. Well, you keep doing what you're doing because you're doing wonderful, my friend. All right. So, Lucas, this has been a fantastic interview. How do people find you? Where are you at on social media?
I'm starting to get a lot more active on YouTube. I upload a new music video every other week. I'm not sure if I can leave the comment. You're going to be posting this somewhere, right?
It'll be posted on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, because I'll send you the links where you can find some of the stuff.
Please.
I'm also on Spotify. Debut album's called Buttercup. Just to note that it can be a little bit inappropriate. There's some inappropriate language, so I wouldn't advise anybody under the age 13 be listening to something like it.
Well, thank you for that disclaimer. All right. So, do you have any final thoughts you want to share with us, or anything I didn't ask you think we'll still need to cover, Lucas?
Well, I think when we were planning this out, we were going to talk about like music in the video games and how that impacts the overall experience.
Yeah, please share on that.
Yeah, I tend when I'm playing music, I kind of passively listen to the soundtracks, but at the same time, I'll go back onto YouTube and find the soundtrack again. There's a lot of really underrated music out there. I played through Pokemon Coliseum for the first time in like 14 years, and some of the music, that game was severely underrated, given that it was the first full 3D Pokemon game, which IGN completely ignored. They said that X and Y was the first. Like, yeah, thanks. You completely glossed over a perfectly good game. But beside the point, I was listening to music like the Relic Stone theme and even like the final boss theme. Like, this music works really well for the situation that's going on that I'm playing in right now.
Okay. Like, what did you say is your favorite piece from a video game then?
One that tends to get stuck in my head a lot is the Pollyanna theme from Round or it goes. It's in the Super Smash Brothers games. It goes ba ba da 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 da, bum 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 da 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 bum. I don't know. I guess it's just because, well, especially that song and other songs from the Mother series. It was inspired by the Beatles, which is still probably my all-time favorite band.
Okay.
But I definitely hear some of John Lennon's influence and some Paul McCartney in there.
All right. If I had to share, I think mine would be it's called To Xanarkin from Final Fantasy X. That piano piece is brilliant.
I have Final Fantasy VII, but I've never really played Final Fantasy. I've been kind of pondering on playing Final Fantasy VII.
The remake or the original?
I got the original for $1.
Oh, you got to play that then.
Yeah.
You're gonna get your dollar's worth.
Yeah, I know. One of my friends that I hang out with every week. He's got literally got 8 shelves just PlayStation games in his room. Said finding Final Fantasy, at least online, is at minimum $80.
Oh yeah, especially if it's in any kind of good condition. So yeah, you picked that up for a fantastic deal.
Yeah.
There's some games you never sell again. As somebody was very stupid selling that.
Yeah, it was my old neighbor in Austin. He was doing a yard sale. Now Rochester's actually fortunate because we're one of the few places in the state that actually has actual game stores. We have actual arcades and games where not only do they sell arcade cabinets, but they will find old game systems and fix them up and sell them for like $50 or $60.
Okay. All right. Well, Lucas, this has been an absolutely fantastic interview. Thank you so much for coming on with us today.
Yeah.
All right.
Pleasure.
Of course. And on that note, I'm going to remind everybody else, don't be just a gamer, be a gamerpreneur.